International aid agencies are sounding the alarm over the situation in the northern Ethiopian region of Tigray. They were allowed to deliver some supplies at the start of the week, but they say they need full humanitarian access to the region if they are to save lives. The fear is that millions of people in Tigray do not have enough to eat or drink, and that the area is on the brink of a humanitarian disaster following the recent conflict there. Now, tens of thousands have fled the hostilities in Tigray. As we report, many of them are now in Sudan, and they are also in dire need.
The Refugee refugee camp in Sudan, one of several camps scattered along Sudan's border to Ethiopia. They're filling up with people fleeing the conflict in the neighbouring Tigray region. We were in Hashaba refugee camp and then we came here. We've been here for a week. There aren't enough tents or enough water, and we're exposed to the sun most of the time. The UN says aid groups are struggling to care for the influx of refugees. The remoteness of the camps is also a problem. In the first 2 weeks they took care of us, but after that no one came again. A truck comes with food twice a day, but other than that there's nothing. They haven't even registered us yet. The refugees, torn between the threat of violence in Tigray and the grim reality of the camp. Thanks be to God. I'm with my daughters here who take care of me. There's nothing here to make me happy as a refugee. This isn't a life at all. But thanks to the Lord, at least I'm here with my daughters. Refugees continue to pour into the camps in Sudan, despite Ethiopia's Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, declaring victory in Tigray more than 2 weeks ago. Those at the camp hope they can soon return. Meanwhile, in Tigray, aid is starting to trickle in. The first trucks arrived carrying Red Cross medical supplies earlier this week.
Huge teamwork to upload all the items. All our Red Cross volunteers uploaded in motion, all for the assistance of the population in the region.
But millions in Tigray remain out of reach of aid as the conflict leaves hunger in its wake.
For more, I'm now joined by the Ethiopian-American author and writer Maaza Mengiste. Her new novel, The Shadow King, was shortlisted for the Booker Prize. The book's about Italy's invasion of Ethiopia in 1935. Welcome to DW News Africa, Maaza. I do want to begin by asking you about the current conflict in your country of birth. The UN said that the world is watching the unfolding of a full-scale humanitarian crisis. How does that make you feel?
Well, you know, this has been really, it's been a distressing event to watch this from afar, to know that there are entire groups of people that are being left destitute, that people's hopes and dreams for their families are being destroyed, and people themselves are dying. It's been a horrible month, and you know, the fact that the world is watching, it feels like this is also a part of this war, a part of everything that has been happening in 2020 earlier is
Maaza,
information versus information.
Your latest novel, The Shadow King, tell us more about your using fiction to tell the story of how Ethiopians fought the Italians during the invasion.
You know, I was interested in looking at what war can tell us about human beings, the human condition, what war can reveal about our fears, our love, our ambitions, our dreams. The war that took place in 1935 when Italy invaded, ironically, Italy invaded and around the region that is being, in conflict today. So I have been looking at what's happening in 2020 and thinking very much about the way that war was fought on the same grounds in 1935.
Now, the main protagonist in The Shadow King is a woman. The other main characters are also women. Why was this important for you to do?
I wanted to think about the fact that when we speak about war, when we speak of conflict, we imagine men, we imagine soldiers as men, and yet women and girls are directly affected by war. And in Ethiopia in 1935, they understood that and they went to the front lines in order to have their own say in the way that their country and their future went. And I wanted to portray that because we don't talk enough about the active role of women in war.
The book's due for release in Italy early next year. Tell us why you're particularly looking forward to that.
Well, I've done so much research in Italy. It's this history is Italian history, but it's also a history that most of Italy either doesn't know about or feels very uncomfortable in addressing. And I welcome the conversations that will happen there. And I am eager to join the dialogue that has been started by other Italians already. This is a history that was supposed to be forgotten.
Maaza, violence of that invasion in 1935 is a strong theme in the novel. Do you think that Ethiopia has healed from that? Do you think it will heal from the conflict that's currently raging?
Ethiopia has not healed from 1935. Ethiopia had not had a chance to talk about that history. Italy has never apologized for the crimes against humanity that they enacted on Ethiopians at that time. In 1935, there was a war fought in Ethiopia. In 1974, there was a revolution that came. Some of those people alive in 35 had to contend with revolution in 74. 1974 to 2000, to 2020, people have those memories too. So what we are seeing is a layering of memory and pain and trauma and violence, and we haven't dealt with it yet.
That's Maaza Mengiste, Ethiopian-American writer and author of The Shadow King. Thank you, Maaza.
Thank you.